has their own challenges. So you cannot make it general because the license also is different between the standalone and the integrated smelter.
But the local people were very angry at that company. So they burnt the car. So my client, he ran. Yeah, he ran into the forest.
I advise my client, our clients, to verify local things, to verify local people, local community. And definitely we cannot do that. As a law firm, we cannot do that. We have to spend days.
Welcome, everyone, to Deal Street Café. This is our first episode of our new podcast. And Deal Street Café, basically, we're dealing with real-world issues in Indonesia. And today, I'm very honored to welcome Pak Dendi of a top Indonesian law firm. And we're going to be discussing building a smelter in Central Sulawesi with all the complexities and everything that involves. So, yeah, today, Dendi, I think we have a very interesting topic.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Chris, for having me here.
Yeah. And I think an interesting thing is that in the past, we saw a lot of American companies, Western companies, but now it seems like the real risk takers are the Chinese. Why do you think that is, that the Chinese are the risk takers and the Americans, they seem to be, the Europeans, they don't seem to have the same enthusiasm. Do you find that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We were quite busy last year for the nickel kind of things, establishing a smelter company, acquisition of the nickel companies, and maybe 80% or even more than 80%, the investing company in the nickel and smelter company are coming from the China.
Yeah.
I think the reason is quite related with what is going on today because China is the factory of the world. So all the goods are produced in China. Definitely as the factory of the world, they need a huge quantity of the raw material, huge quantity of the nickel and mineral. That's why they keep coming here in Indonesia. I think that's the most logical reasons why Chinese companies are coming here to invest in smelter and nickel industry.
I think there's a Russian one too, yeah? I think I've seen a Russian one. So a Russian one?
Yeah. I had a discussion with this company, but I don't know whether they have a good progress or not. I don't know.
Yeah, but from an intellectual point of view, I think for a lawyer, this is like a perfect storm, yeah? Because let's face it, we have so many problems. We have the environmental issues, the licensing issues. We have the supply. There has to be a continuous supply of nickel. They have to build their own logistics, right? Maybe roads, even bridges, maybe a port. So I think for a law firm, this must be very, very interesting. Can all these things be done in parallel, or must they be done one by one?
We have two types of smelter, Chris. That's point number one. The first is the integrated smelter. So you have your own mining concession, you have your own mining site, and then at the end of the supply chains, you build your own factory. So that's the first type of the smelter company. The second type is the non-integrated, mean it's standalone. So you establish a standalone smelter company. You don't have the mining concessions. You don't have the mine. So you set up your own mining smelter company, smelter factory, and then you buy the raw material from other miners. So every type of the smelter has their own challenges. So you cannot make it general because the license also is different between the standalone and the integrated smelter.
But let's say I want to have my own power plant.
Sure.
I want to have my own port.
Yep.
Can I do these in parallel, or do I have to do first the first the smelter, then the power plant, then the port, or can we do them in parallel at the same time?
It depends because see, once the client decides to set up a smelter company, before the smelter company can run, you have to secure the power supply. For that, you have to understand whether the existing power supply is available in your region or not. For example, if you want to set up it in Java, there's no problem. You don't have to set up your own power plant because we have oversupply in Java. But if you want to set it up in Sulawesi, for example, definitely you have to set up your own power plant. So you have to analyze whether the utilities not only power supply, it is water supply, waste management, access road, port. You have to verify whether the utility and supporting infrastructure is available or not. If it is available, no need to set up your own utility supply. But if you are, for example, in your case, you are operating a smelter company in Sulawesi, definitely you have to establish by your own. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to think of a metaphor, you know, and it's not like a game of chess. Maybe it's like a Rubik's Cube, you know, where
Yeah.
everything has to be
Yeah.
just right. you know?
I will always fail playing that game.
Yeah. I think today, as an interesting thought experiment, we're going to be talking about a theoretical investor who wishes to invest in Central Sulawesi.
Central Sulawesi,
So
right?
it's one of the most remote places in the entire earth. Yeah. Have you ever been to Central
Oh, yeah,
Sulawesi? Oh.
yeah.
I hear there are cryptids there. You know, cryptids are like, have you heard of Bigfoot?
Oh,
Yeah, so cryptids in Sulawesi, they have these cryptids there, like
Okay.
orang pendek,
oh, okay.
bati orang. Have you ever
Oh,
heard of it?
yeah.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, I know it.
Okay, tell us about bati orang. This is more interesting than the smelter, I think.
Yeah, so
Did you see the bati orang?
I haven't any experience seeing this Batia orang, but yeah, friends told me that okay, in certain remote area, not only in Sulawesi, in Kalimantan or in Sumatra, there are how do you say indigenous species. It's not only Batia orang, but birds.
There's one called Ebu Gogo.
Yeah,
Do you know Ebu Gogo?
not really. But it's happening. For example, we had a project in Sumatra. The project is billion of dollars project, but the clients almost dropped the project because we found there is a orangutan within the
Orangutan.
right?
Orangutan.
Within the mine site.
Because that's a protected animal.
Yeah, and the client almost dropped the project because the project is billion dollars project size. So it
This
is.
is what I'm afraid of, though, is that
Yeah.
an international investor, he doesn't realize how remote the area
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And there are many dangers there and many unexplored things.
Yeah,
Let's listen to our theoretical investor,
Sure,
yeah?
sure.
Hello? Chris and Indy, I've been meaning to call you. Listen, I'm about to change the game in Central Sulawesi. A smelter, yes, but not just a smelter. I'm talking about an entire ecosystem. Port license, piece of cake, power plant. You know, of course we can't rely on someone else's grid and the smelter itself, but we'll have the permits in no time. Now, I know people love to say permitting in Indonesia is slow, infrastructure is a nightmare and all that other stuff, but you know what? I say fortune favors the bold. We're moving full speed ahead. I've already got investors lined up, the site is scouted and all that. Let's be real. This nickel demand isn't slowing down anytime soon. What do you guys think? Any tips to make the process even faster?
Sounds very optimistic.
Yes.
Sounds very optimistic.
Money never sleeps. Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
You mentioned the chain.
Yeah.
But actually, every link in the chain, there's a margin, right, Dendi?
Right.
Yeah, so maybe the longer the chain, the better.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on how to do it quickly, do it fast?
Unfortunately, I have to agree on the basic assumptions that the license is not something easy in Indonesia. Just for examples, to be able to set up a smelter company, you have to deal with a lot of things. You have to do the environment assessment. You have to get the license from the board of the government to verify whether your operations will badly impact the.
Are you dealing with the local government or the central government, or both?
Oh, both. There will
So
be-
there's no shortcut.
There is no shortcut. And if you want to make it as a standalone smelter facility, then you have to consider about the infrastructure, about the power supply, about the port, about the access road, about the waste management, about the license to utilize chemical materials. So there are a lot of things that we have to consider, and short-term periods, we have to define how short it is. In our experience, if short-term is defined as 3 or 6 months, just forget it. So, but there is a good progress actually, Chris, in Indonesia, because most of the license in Indonesia are now through the online submissions, the single online submissions, and it helps a lot. It cut a lot of times in the process of getting out. But again, we have to be careful because not all the application will be accepted. Just for example, if you want to apply for the forestry license, you have to understand whether you can apply or not. You can apply and you can be granted if within a specific province, the maximum forest area that is granted by the license is not more than 10%. If in that province, the forest area more than 10% already granted with the forestry license, you cannot get it done. So before you submit your license, you have to verify, you have to ask your lawyers to verify, okay, I want to submit this license, but can I get it out? So you have to do it,
I see.
you have to do your homework first before you actually
There are
submit
many
it.
nuances. And,
Right,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
yeah.
I think there was confusion at one time whether or not it was the Ministry of Energy or the Ministry of Industry that would grant the license. Has that been cleared up? Who will grant the license?
Oh yeah, it depends.
I think some companies, they do both. Or at one time, they go to
yeah,
both.
Yeah.
But that's not good, right?
Yeah. It depends now. It depends on what kind of the smelter that you want to establish. If it is integrated, remember, if it is integrated, then the Ministry of Energy
Right.
and Minerals. But if it is standalone, that is IUI, Izin Usaha Industri, and it is issued by the Ministry of Industry.
Makes sense, maybe. Yeah, maybe
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. In the old days, it's confusions. Oh, this ministry they have authority. This ministry they have authority. So just to avoid unnecessary risk, apply for both. But now it's quite clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to highlight what we were talking about before, Bigfoot and orangutan and all that, let's talk more about the local people, because I remember a geothermal project where our client drove, actually. So they used a rental car, but there's only one rental company because it's very, very remote.
Yeah.
But the local people were very angry at that company, so they burnt the car. So my client, he ran. Yeah, he ran into the forest. Maybe ran into
He
orangutan
survived?
deck or something. Yeah,
But he survived?
yeah, he's okay. But they burnt the car.
Okay.
But the problem was, do we pay the company for the car? Actually, it's not our responsibility, right? Because the car is insured. But on a practical note, if we don't pay for the car, then we can't use the company service anymore. And then how do we get to the site? So I think it shows that relations with the local people are very important. And there are many languages there, Dendi, in Central Sulawesi. I think many people speak Bugis, but I think there are other languages too. Yeah.
Yep.
in
Yeah.
Toraja and
Yeah.
Bugis, and
Yeah.
but they all speak Indonesian, right? Correct?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the government all the government official definitely they speak bahasa Indonesia. In Sulawesi, I would say more than 50% they speak bahasa Indonesia. So yeah, everybody speak bahasa Indonesia. Most of everybody speak bahasa Indonesia.
Well, there's local people there, local community leaders, and maybe a foreign investor. He's not used to this. He thinks if I have the license, then that's fine. But in fact, you must deal with the local,
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree with that.
community leader, and the.
I agree. I totally agree with you about that, Chris. But the thing is that I advise our clients, to verify local things, to verify local people, local community, and definitely we cannot do that as a law firm. We cannot do that. We have to spend days. We have to spend weeks to interact with the local people.
I think there are communication companies. They call them communication companies that will do that. Yeah.
Yeah, in an acquisition project, for example, a client hire a law firm to do due diligence, whether this company is in compliance or not. They hire tax consultant to verify the tax aspect. They hire technical consultant to verify whether the reserve is good or not, whether the location is, can be built with the smelter facility or not. But I advise my clients to hire also local community consultants, just to interact with the local people to understand what if a huge project coming in, what would be the reaction from the local people. Because I've seen so many big project fails because of the rejection of the local people.
If the local people do not support your project,
Oh, it's
it
a
will
big
not
problem,
go
big
through.
problem, big problem, big
A
problem.
foreign investor often does not understand
Yes.
this.
Yeah. And it is not written in the documents.
Exactly,
It is not written in your article of association. It is not written in any agreements. It is not written in any documents in the data room. So you have to go there. You have to sit. You have to sleep. You have to stay with the local people just to understand what would be the reactions, whether they are happy or not, whether they are welcoming the project or not, whether they will be hostile or not. So that's the thing that a client should consider this very carefully.
I have here a message just sent
Great.
by our theoretical
Great,
local
great,
person,
great.
Our local person in the community.
Let's see what you have.
Chris, Dendi, I have seen things, strange things. The land is restless. The water, it has whispered to me. It tells me that something dark is coming. For centuries, this land has given life. Our rivers are pure, our forests sacred. But now, machines will tear down the earth. Chemicals will poison our waters. Have you seen what happens to villages near smelters? The fish die, the children fall sick. The spirits, our ancestors, they do not rest easy when the land is disturbed. You say permits are coming, but what about permission from those who came before us? You must listen. If you do not, the land will take its price. You may not see it today, but it will come. This is not just a smelter, Dendi. This is a test.
So how would you react to a local leader like that, Dendi? And this may happen, something just like this, a religious leader or a community leader.
Yeah. Every case must be dealt differently. We cannot use the same approach for any case. Every case must be dealt separately and differently. In our experience, we have to go hand by hand with the local government. And the local government, they have a better access to the local leaders, to the local informal leaders, to the local community leaders. So we have to, get the support from the local government. Because in any way, this project will bring more jobs, will bring more prosperity to the local people. There will be new economic activities going on. It's not only the smelter, it's not only the factory activity, but the supply, the food supply, the housing supply, the services which can be provided by the local people. That's point number one. Point number two, at the end of the day, the land, if it is forestry land, for example, it belongs to the government. It belongs to the state. It doesn't belong to the certain group of people. That's what the law says. If it is forestry, the forest area, the entire forest area, belong to the state, and we have to deal with the government as the representative of the states. And I know, Chris, it is not easy to deal with the local people, but as a lawyer, definitely I don't have all set of equipments to deal with the local people, because definitely I have to deal with the documents, I have to deal with the compliance, I have to deal with the bunch of documents. But I can advise with the client. I can advise the client who has that kind of problem to work closely with the government, seeking their help, seeking their assistance to talk with the local community leaders, and it works. In some cases, it works.
Yeah, I think we'll have to stop there now,
Sure.
Dendi. We're out of time, but stay tuned for our next episode, because
Yeah.
we're going to follow this investor, and we're going to follow the whole trajectory of his smelter in Central Sulawesi. So thanks for coming to Deal Street Café, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.